bell. All right, let's turn our attention now to what's going on in the airline space and really as it relates to the future of these companies' operations. Obviously, we've watched the stocks kind of catch a little bit of a bid here as the reopening trade tries to get underway in some kind of a sustained fashion. But when you look at these stocks compared to their 52-week highs, American, United, Southwest, all off, or I should say United and American off more than 50% from their 52-week highs. Southwest, less levered to the business traveler. That stock is off about 60%. Delta down about 45%. But September is wrapping up here, and we all remember back as a condition of that bailout money a number of these airlines got in the spring that they could not make any layoffs or significant staff moves through the end of the third quarter. Well, that is now less than 2 weeks away, and I think as we watch things like TSA traveler data kind of flatline, and you think about what is the right staffing level. Seana, I kind of, when we talked about the story, or I was thinking about the story earlier today, I sort of was struck by how little perhaps I had been thinking about what the future of these businesses is like, because there was that conditional bailout and then so much optimism through the summer around the return of these TSA numbers. And yet, here we are in October, still looking at basically a post 9/11 type scenario for these businesses.
We certainly are. And when we take a step back and just try and kind of just realize the trouble that the airline business is in, it's almost too much to comprehend at this point. So they got that initial bailout package back in March, and things have not improved. Like you said, when you take a look at the TSA numbers, when you take a look at the passenger level numbers, they're still down, between 65 and 75% than they were a year ago. So we talk about the fact that there is just so much revenue lost over the last several months, and it's not showing any end in sight. We've all read survey after survey just trying to gauge the public's interest in terms of taking trips, whether or not they're willing to travel, whether or not they're willing to get on planes. And I think there is still a lot of hesitation out there. And because of that, these U.S. airline CEOs, they're almost out of options. They met with Mark Meadows earlier today. They're pleading for another coronavirus relief package. Like you said, they're only 2 weeks away from that deadline. If they don't get anything by October 1st, there will be tens of thousands, potentially tens of thousands of layoffs within this sector. These companies are going to be forced to downsize because they simply just cannot keep the number of employees that they have today on their payrolls. And you can see that by Delta's move today. I mean, Delta making it clear that they need liquidity, now upsizing the money that they're borrowing against the frequent flyer program, upping it to $9 billion. It was just over $6 billion. So it's the largest debt offering in airline history, and it's stressing the need for liquidity. And right now, that so many of these airlines obviously have been struggling with over the last several months. When you take a look at the fact that they're pleading for it, the fact that they need it right now, the underperformance of these airlines, I mean, this is a sector that needs bailout help. And one other thing, Miles, that I was noting, I was looking this up as you were coming to me, but the market cap of these companies compared to some of the tech giants or even some of the other outperformers like NVIDIA, I mean, when you take a look at United, for example, the market cap there is $10 billion. So I mean, this is an industry where you start to almost question the business model. It doesn't make sense. It's clearly not working, and maybe they need to almost throw it out the window, start from scratch, and we probably will see real change. Hopefully, we will see real change in this industry.
And guys, just to add to what Miles was saying, it was funny, Miles, when you said it, you sort of hadn't thought in a while about how much the airlines are struggling. It's true, and if you think about it, I mean, 7 months not at their usual capacity, and 5 of those months at severely decreased capacity. What other business could survive this? I mean, what other industry could actually get through this without a bailout? And as Seana mentioned, even having had the first bailout, they're still in mega trouble. I can't think of many companies that without a bailout could take 6 months where their revenue is down however much percent, huge losses. And in fact, even if you now feel comfortable at some point to take a flight somewhere with a mask, with all the wipes, with sanitizing your chair, with being so super cautious, and I know some people who say they're comfortable with that, fine, it's still going to be so long for it to be fully normalized, for people to just be able to, book a flight, no problem, without thinking about all those concerns. Even once the pandemic, is sort of over, so to speak, it's going to be a long time before it's really over, before masks are done, before social distancing is done. There's more pain to come for the airlines. They're not through this at all.
Yeah, and I think in the beginning of this pandemic, we were all like, "This is going to be a multi-year process," and then the summer maybe wasn't quite as bad, and now we're looking at, the recovery is actually holding in pretty well. Big upgrade on GDP from the Fed yesterday, but the industries hit hardest, restaurants and airlines, are still no doubt looking at a multi-year process here. All right.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.